following is a special presentation of the Sports Journey Network. Sports Journey.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to The Breakdown, and I'm your host, Dujunnea Bland, and I am super excited today. I am absolutely just over the hill with the guest that we have today. You guys are going to love this. His hashtag, which I didn't know until just a few minutes ago, is "Oh yeah." He's the driver of the, what is that sponsor that he's got going on here? The Methanol Moonshine Vertec Dragster. It's my guy, Buddy Hall. How's it going, bud?
Hey, man, having a great day. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Man, I'm super excited for you to get the season started. I've been watching you since you debuted in 2021. Really stood out to me as being down to earth. I saw you on American Hot Rod Entertainment with Darren Williams as well, and really just enjoy your attitude and your approach to drag racing.
I appreciate that. How's
things been going this off season?
Oh, it's been great. A lot of changes in our camp. To one, personnel wise, which is the addition of Mike Guger as our crew chief. Tim Wilkerson acquired a new sponsor, which put him in a spot. He just didn't have the time available to assist in our program anymore. So we interviewed a few different folks, and we made a very obvious decision to bring Mike Guger on board. And he spent the last 2 months here in my shop, 30 hours a week, going through every single part and piece we have and building a new fuel system and changing a lot of things on our race car to his specifications, so that way we can go out there and improve and be more competitive. So we're really excited. We've also brought on a bunch of new sponsors over the winter, which, is really assisting us in making these changes, which is Methanol Moonshine, Renegade Fuel and Oil, and they're really assisting as well. So it's all going great, man. Thanks for asking.
And are you able to talk about this new one that just dropped today?
I don't know. When is this podcast air?
Tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll definitely talk about it. So we just signed with Go Lithium Batteries, and we're so excited to have them on board. They build the baddest lithium 12-volt batteries in the market. So they're USA made, which also gets me excited. We do fly American flags on everything we own, and so I'll be proud to be starting my race car this year with Go Lithium Batteries made in America. Doug and Jason Line are working together to build the coolest battery pack in all of NHRA, and we can't wait to get our hands on it. And we can't wait to crank our car over with those batteries. We're excited.
I can't wait to see that. That is awesome news, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. We're pumped.
Now, I talked to a guy in TJ Zizzo a couple of years ago, and he's a guy that hadn't been out in a while, but when they did, they appeared in maybe about 3 to 5 races a year. But he said something about they always stay prepared. They always continue to work as if they were racing to keep their team sharp when it came down to turnarounds. Is that something you guys also have been able to do?
Yeah, we do. It also helps us with we run a little bit more than 3 to 5 times a year, and so it gets us together a little more often. But also too, a lot of my team members own race cars, so we race their cars, right? Like
That's
last year we went out and tested my friend Sean Cash's fuel altered, and it's a nitro fuel altered. So we just treated his car like it was the top fuel car and went through full services. So we do our best to stay sharp. This year with having 9 on our schedule, we're pretty much racing, at least twice, once or twice a month, every single month through the whole season. So that's going to help us a bunch to stay sharp. And we're always working here in the shop as well. So just like TJ, though, when we go out there, we want to go out there and we want to do well. We're not going out there just to qualify. We're going out there with the intentions on having a competitive race car that can go around. I know TJ well, and I know he has the same approach as we do.
Yeah. Really love that guy.
He's a great
guy. Mike Guger coming aboard, man. This is not a small deal. He brings a big resume to the table. And with Phoenix being a track where it's known to be fast, if the temperatures are good, we know the track temperatures are good, and with the horsepower, the ETs are there. You have to be confident going into your first race.
Yeah, extremely confident. Mike, his knowledge base is incredible. He got his first win as a top fuel crew chief in Phoenix, which just verifies on his resume he knows how to race at that racetrack. And so we have a specific plan going in there, and we're going to execute, and we'll see how the cards fall.
Now, you have a deep-rooted history in drag racing. How has that helped you in your quest to continue to build a competitive winning team?
I think it's just passion, growing up around it, and then, I guess wanting to continue on a legacy and do my very best with it. I've worked my way to the, professional ranks, and I guess I could say I definitely want to thank my family for providing that outlet for me in that path. I don't know that I would have ever been interested in such thing if it weren't for my family. I was an athlete in high school, and I'm still a really athletic guy. So I probably would have not gone down the path of being a drag racer if it weren't for the influence of practically everyone in my family. I more so would have, probably been some kind of athlete my entire life. And I guess I'm still an athlete, but it's just a different type of athlete. So,
right.
But the lineage powers me. It fuels me, and I'm blessed to be able to make my family proud and can continue to carry the torch. And hopefully someday I have the opportunity to pass the torch.
Any other big influencers in this quest that you've embarked on?
Oh, there's so many. There's too many influencers to count, really. I would have to speak for days. I'd have to put a list together to really, I guess, summarize everyone that's helped me. But, my dad really helped me get started. If it weren't for my dad, there's no way I would have been able to do what I'm doing now. It's just a very long list, Tom Motri, I drove his, Drastic Plastic car. Terry Haddock, I drove his Top Fuel car. Tim Wilkerson, I bought his, my Top Fuel operation from him. Mike Guger. Those are just some of the names at the top of the list that I could say. My uncle Reggie, the guy who got our family started, and then my Uncle Dick. All these people have just, they've always been there for me, and, they've sometimes challenged me and made me even want this thing more, right? At certain points in my career, all odds have been stacked up against me, and I've not buckled. I've not failed. I just keep fighting my way out of all the problems, and that's what I'll do. I'll keep fighting until I win.
That's a fantastic attitude, and that's what you got to have, especially in this tough division of Top Fuel cars. Yeah. Coming into this race, what is your expectations, or what are you guys going to try to do? You mentioned that you guys didn't have an opportunity to really test. So what are you going to try to do, being that there's only 16 cars in the field?
It's a great question. And so the first thing is make nice, clean A to B runs and search and dig for a personal best ET in mile per hour. We go there, we get that accomplished, put us in a spot and give us an opportunity to win around a drag racing. Mike does his job. I do my job. We get a car that runs in the 70s. You just never know what it's going to end up looking like on Sunday. And Absolutely. We're not scared of anybody. We'll race anybody. We don't care.
That's what's up. Now, you have a really driven more than just a Top Fuel dragster.
Yeah.
Could you tell us about that? And how does that driving these other cars have helped you in the dragster?
So, I've kind of driven just almost everything, it seems like. And only thing I can say is it's kind of like a fighter that takes jiu-jitsu for a while and then takes boxing classes for a while and then takes wrestling for a while. You get all these different experiences. And so when the time comes and you're in trouble in the car, or, your crew chief tells you, hey, if it shut it off at 500 feet, and you got to have a clue where you're at and know where to shut it off, right? The cars move fast, and so the more experience you have, the better you are at knowing when you're on the racetrack. The more experience you have with cars blowing up, catching on fire, dropping holes, getting out of the groove. When you drive all kinds of different race cars, I personally think it's very healthy, first of all, for a driver to be able to go from one car to the next and be able to get the car A to B. But I also think in the end, what it does, it trains you to be the best in the one discipline you care about the most. And I can say the first race car I ever bought, and I still own it, it's parked out in my shop right now, is probably one of the hardest race cars I've ever driven, and probably one of the hardest race cars to drive on this earth. It's just an ill-handling car. And so it taught me a lot of lessons, and I was blessed to be able to not hit anyone, hit anything, and it, you know, it was a lesson. It was like a teacher for me. So I guess that's it, man. It's just it's been so cool, you know. And I continue to get more opportunities. I was going to drive Paul Gordon's Red Baron Funny Car Chaos last weekend, but you know that got canceled via the weather. So if anybody's listening and they got a car and they want somebody to drive it, as long as it's legal and it's safe, I'll drive it.
Now, would you say you are a seat of the pants driver, or you drive off of instincts?
Well, both, because I would consider that being the same thing in my world. So, all of these cars, when you get to this level, the cars are moving so quickly. There's really no opportunity to quote unquote think about what you're going to do next. It's all instinct based. But I believe instincts come from experience. It's kind of like, you know, when someone says, "Oh, I have a gut feeling." Well, a gut feeling just means you feel a certain way about something going on because of your past experiences. Right. Well, a race car driver that's made a lot of runs in a race car makes decisions off past experiences when they're not even realizing they're making those decisions. Such as, you know, I often run an in-car camera. And so, you know, I'll look at the camera and be like, I can't believe I was cranking the wheel that hard, right? I really was cranking the wheel. And I knew I was moving the wheel because I was keeping the car in the groove, but I didn't realize I was cranking the wheel that far over. You just do it because you have the experience, you know what it feels like, and you know how much input the car needs to be able to move in the direction you need to move it to. So, yeah, I just think it's all experience based. It's kind of like this. How many people do you think you could pull a Stanza, put in a top fuel car, and they could take it A to B?
I'm going to say zero.
Zero. Well, exactly. There's probably one or two or something, right? But they're probably a fighter pilot or something for a living. You know what I mean? So, other than that, you gotta work your way up to it. At least that's my opinion. And then the more different types of cars you drive and the better coaches you have, the better. You know, but at the same time, I have an opinion about someone quote unquote teaching you how to drive a race car. I don't necessarily believe in that statement. You can teach people about how the Christmas tree works and where the markers are in the track and how to stage a car and remember how to, you know, determine where you're at on the racetrack and when to shut it down. But when you actually get in the race car and stab the gas, you either can drive it or you can't. You can't teach that. That's not a teachable thing. You either have it or you don't. You can teach all other parts of aspects of drag racing. Right. And you can coach a good driver into becoming a better driver through, hey, this happened at the track or during the run, and if you would have handled the car this way, the outcome would have been different. I believe that can happen, but I don't know. I'm old school in my thoughts, and you can either get in the seat of the thing and you can drive it, or you can't.
Now, people think that in a dragster it's just a matter of almost like a, I wouldn't even say like a bike really, but people just think you can just point the thing straight, whack the gas, and it's going to go. It's more to it than just that, isn't it? Yeah,
there's a lot more to it. You're actually steering these cars quite a bit, and you know the cars, the dragsters. You know, at 850 to 1,000 feet, they get goofy. You know, when you see those cars down there waggling around, and you know, if you oversteer the car or you're not prepared for that feeling or whatever, it can get you in trouble. So there's a lot going on, and they don't just go straight. You're still inputting the wheel the entire time. It's not just that simple. If it were, a lot of A fuel drivers and top alcohol drivers would be doing that. Many have tried and made a run and said, that's not my cup of tea. You can have all that top fuel stuff you want.
Right. I talked to Tony Schumacher, and he made an interesting statement about the way the car drives and just turning the wheel to the left, and maybe that rear tire on the right side grabs a little bit more. Or if you turn it to the right and you're too hard there, it gets a little bit on that left tire.
Yep.
He said it's just a matter of a science.
It is.
That can affect a lot with a race car down the track, especially when the clutch starts to really apply.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, when that clutch kicks in, you better have the car in the groove. If the car's not in the groove and the clutch starts to really, really engage itself, in that 300 to 600 foot range, it's either going to smoke the tires or it's going to push itself further out of the groove, and you're going to smoke the tires and you have to lift. So, yeah, you better have the car in the groove. And Tony's right. When you feed the wheel and give an input, it's not just the front tires that respond; it's the whole car. And those cars are so long, you better believe that they're bending and twisting throughout the entire run. Ideally, on a top wheel dragster, the back of the car is trying to pass the front of the car the whole run, the entire run. It's trying to pass itself. Yeah, so if you take the front wing off a top fuel car, it'd probably flip itself completely around and head the other direction, somewhere between 200 and 300 feet, because the entire run, the front of or the back of the car is trying to pass the front of the car. So, yeah, they're monsters. If anybody feels like they can, if they want a shot at it, let me know. We can give them a shot. We can find a way. If someone wants to say anybody can do it, just let me know. We'll figure it out.
Now, we talked about the schedule before we came on, and I'm a big fan of not keeping a stringent schedule that we have to do, because I think it's very important for people like yourself, Doug Foley, Keith Mert, those guys who come out and are able to make races, if they could talk to everyone and make a schedule that would be more feasible money-wise, given what you guys have to pay in trucks, fuel, crew. Do you think that would be a better format? And would you be, would it enable you to do even more than just 9 races?
Yeah, I think there could be some reflection done and some change in that category. But, I can never be selfish and think from a businessman's perspective, because at heart I'm a business person. And I think a lot of the schedule is dictated by sports going on in those states during that time, such as other motorsports, football games, basketball games, special events, because what we're shooting for as a group of racers is to give the most opportunity for people to show up. So if there's a NASCAR race or IndyCar race within, say, 700 miles of where we're racing, well, now we're splitting a fan base. Well, that's a bad idea, right? That's not good. But what's also not good is going from Gainesville to Phoenix. That's not good either, right? I mean, that's a big fuel bill to go from Dallas to Gainesville and Gainesville to Phoenix. Well, we didn't do that this year because that fuel bill is an expensive one. We'd rather put that budget into the parts in our race car, so when we do show up to races, we have more parts rather than spending it on diesel fuel going down the road. So, yeah, I think maybe there can be some adjustment, and geographically, I think we could do better. But, that's my opinion. That's not something I know enough facts about, per se, to say, hey, this is how we should do it. I'd have to, on the business side of things, I'd have to take a step back and look at the NASCAR schedule, the IndyCar schedule, the desert truck schedule, the NFL schedule, the NBA, and all those schedules, and say, okay, well, what city do we need to be in on this weekend so that we can garner the most amount of people possible? That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's smart. You don't want to be, especially with the NFL, no one wants to go head-to-head with them in any state that has a team. And you don't want to have to go up against NASCAR, because then you're making fans to have to make a choice, and that's not always good. The word on the street is the reserve section in Phoenix only has 100 tickets left.
That's right. It's sold out. It's going to sell out, and we knew that because it's just like Atlanta in 21. Anytime it's the last year for a track to be open, it's already a signed deal. That place is going to be shoulder to shoulder. It'll have all the support in the world, and then vice versa. You got to flip the coin. We're going back to Joliet this year, Chicago, right?
That's what
we haven't been there in how many years? 5 years? How long's it been? I don't know. Something like that.
It's been a long time.
Guess what that means? We're gonna get the same support there because that it's been a long time. So it's unfortunate that Phoenix is closing because it's a really cool racetrack. It's the way it's laid out totally kicks ass, and just I wish that one was staying open.
Me too. We've had some really nice races there. I know people have talked about possibly going to Tucson, but I don't think that compares to Phoenix.
No, Tucson's a great racetrack, but it's not Wild Horse Pass. It's just not the same.
Right.
It's not the same setting. The track layout's different. It's just not the same. But well, we got to move on though. That's all I can say. I know the paperwork's signed and I know the track's closing. So
yeah.
Unfortunately, we just got to move on and hope that something else comes along that is of the same caliber that replaces it on the tour, and we just keep rocking and rolling, man. We keep burning nitro. That's all I can say.
Do you think there's something we can do as drivers, as fans, as media to help this to stop happening?
I think it's a done deal. I think there was a big reward, quote unquote, for the opportunity to acquire that land. I don't know all the details, but I think it made all the sense in the world for them to close the thing down. So I don't think there's really anything that we can do, but there's a couple tracks out there that we could easily, equip for a national event. I mean,
right.
There's a couple here in the Midwest that I can think of. Like National Trail, right? National Trail Raceway. You heard of that track?
Yes.
Well, guess what? It's right. It's 4 hours from Indy. Why wouldn't we run that racetrack?
I don't understand that, and they did before. I actually watched it in 1984. I was watching that, and I looked it up, and I was like, "Is this track still available?" And it's still available. They've got bigger stands. It looks totally different. Like it's a place they could go.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's like one of probably the best overlooked track in America right now to have a national event. To me, why wouldn't we have one there? I mean, it's 4 hours away from where 80% of the teams in the NHRA are headquarters at. It's dead center of the country. It'd be so easy to run that race either before or after Indy,
right?
Or in the spring after Joliet, before whatever. It's just right there in the middle of the country. And to me, anything in the middle of the country makes sense for every single team. So in the middle, late spring, middle of the summer, why wouldn't we run that track?
Right.
The opportunity is definitely there. It's a beautiful track. I mean, it's got the huge tower. It's got it all. They just need to make it happen.
I am a fan of them running at my home track, Maryland International Raceway.
Never been
NHRA used to race there regular, and I think that the event was like in September. They have the ability to do it. It would be so awesome. It could replace Englishtown or something. Yep.
Yeah, that's a hard event to replace, but
it is.
Yeah, that's just a legendary track. It's unfortunate that's gone, but yeah, there's many tracks out there. So I just I always hope, pray, and work towards the greater good of the sport, and any way that I can influence things in a positive way, I do. Not just for my own racing team, but the sport. I try to remain humble and stay active and just keep it going, man. Keep the dream living, because somebody's got to do it. We all got to do it. We all got to participate to keep it going.
Absolutely.
A lot of guys that have been doing this for a lot of years. You start looking around and you're like, well, how much longer is he going to do it? How much longer are they going to be out there? How much longer is she going to do it? Right. And so there's got to be a new generation of men and women, that are coming up and having an interest in dealing with owning these teams and dragging these cars all over the country to put on a show. Because for anybody who's never been to an NHRA event and seen two fuel cars go down the track, they just have no idea what a spectacle it is. I mean, it is absolute overload of sensory. The smell, the sight, the sound, the feeling. There's nothing cooler on the planet. So until someone's fan, they don't get it. But once they go, they're like, okay, now I'm a fan for life. Even if they go to a race a year. Well, in order to keep that going, it takes guys like us to keep it going, It's sad to say, but at 42 years old, I'm one of the youngest team owners out there. To me, that doesn't make a lick of sense. It doesn't make sense.
It really doesn't.
Nope. I shouldn't be 42 and be one of the youngest, if not, maybe, I don't know. I know I'm not the youngest. Krista Baldwin's the youngest, probably. But either way, one of the youngest for sure. Top 3 or 4 youngest team owners out there. It just doesn't make sense. I wish there was 20 of me out there.
What do you think has to be done to encourage younger racers to become owners? Is it just a matter of not knowing how to run a business, or is it fear?
No. Okay, I have a pretty heavy opinion about this. It's the belief that you can do it. Because what happens is bracket racers look at they look at John Forrest, they look at Connie Coletta's operation, they look at all they're like, oh my gosh, that's expensive, and holy cow, this is you got 10 people in the pits, that must cost $1 million a day. Okay, well, yeah, it's expensive, but here's the deal: somebody's got to do it, right? So if you have this mindset, this got to be.
He froze. We got a lost connection. Maybe there he is. Got him back.
So I actually try to inspire people and show people that, hey, you can grow up with not much, right? I didn't grow up with much. We didn't have any money growing up, and you don't have to like drive a junior dragster and like run all these divisional meets and all this stuff to become a top fuel driver. You don't have to do that. You have to be a good business person, and you have to be able to drive the race car. You got to be marketable. You got to be friendly. You got to be approachable, and that's really what it takes. And so, for anybody listening, if you're in the sportsman ranks and you want to do this, just know you can, but you really got to work towards it. And I don't mean become a better race car driver, because that's one of the parts of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. The understanding of the business part of it, and understanding that it's possible and that there are ways, is really what you have to wrap your head around. Because I believe some of the best race car drivers out there are probably at these little eighth-mile tracks spread throughout the country that have 50, 60 cars show up to bracket race on the weekend. That's probably where the best drag racers, that's where they're at. They're all hidden there. And they believe that's all they can do, and it's just not true. So if you're listening and you drive a 68 Camaro, eighth mile every weekend in Super Pro, just know that you could drive a top fuel car if you wanted to. You just got to make the decision to do it.
Man, that's great advice. And, great advice from a great person. And you guys need to go over to his pits. Hell of a guy. Now, we're going to go rapid fire with something fun.
Let's do it.
What's your favorite NFL team?
Oh, the Bears. Chicago Bears by far. I'm a huge Mike Ditka fan. Over Bears fan, I'm a Mike Ditka guy, right? That guy was as tough as they come. Love everything about the guy. He just did it his way.
I love
he didn't
it
do
too.
well. I wasn't a Saints fan, though. When he went to the Saints, I was upset about that. But anyway.
Why?
Oh, it was terrible. The city didn't accept him as a coach, and he coached horrible. It was just ugly. There was nothing good about it.
Yeah, it didn't turn out very well. I think the only thing that was great was Williams being the running back, and that didn't go over very well either.
That's right. None of it really worked. It just really saddened his career. But, man, what a great career he had with the Bears.
NBA guy?
Yeah, of course, man. Chicago Bulls. You kidding me? I grew up, I'm from Illinois, so I grew up watching the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman, and John Paxson. Chicago Bulls all the way.
You had to be upset, like I was upset when Jerry Krause said that players don't win championships, organizations do.
That's right. It's a fact. Yeah, it's a business. NBA is a business. NFL is a business. Just like top fuel racing, it's all a business.
And they didn't win any other championships after that.
That's right. That's right.
Terrible. Yep. Do you watch NASCAR?
Man, I don't. I hate to admit that outwardly, because I'd enjoy to be able to say that I'm a supporter, but I just don't. I'm not interested. As a matter of fact, you're going to laugh at this. I really don't watch TV at all. And I can't tell you, I don't. All last season, I think the only time I even watched NHRA was when it's on replay, because I always have it on in my shop.
Yeah.
Because we have that, whatever that the station is on the TV that just plays it 24/7.
Yeah.
I've never in my life, in a long, long time, I've never even sat down to watch myself on TV, because it's not that important. I live it. I look at all the data from the computer after the run, and we always take a video of the run from behind the car. It's kind of all I need to see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I can't even say I've made an effort to tune in to even watch myself. So
that's interesting. I can relate to that, though, because I can tell you right now, I don't go back and listen to my podcast because I don't like the way I sound. I really don't. I don't want to hear myself. And if they're asking me to do video at some point, which I'll probably have a live show, but I'll never go back and watch it because I don't want to watch myself either.
Put a pair of sunglasses on. It'll help. That's how James started. He was shy too, and I think that's where the sunglasses came from. I don't know that, but that's a lot of music artists and a lot of folks. That's it is psychologically it helps. So
yeah,
they got some cool shades, man. Rock it out. I'll be your first guest. You want to go live? I'll be your first guest. I'll wear sunglasses too. You pick them. We both wear the same pair.
That'll work. I like that. Well, man, this weekend's going to be great for you.
We're excited.
Great weather. You guys sound like you're absolutely prepared to the T. Like I said, when you guys got Mike Goger, I knew this was going to be a big deal, and I can't wait. I can't wait for Phoenix because I know you guys are going to show up and show out.
Thank you so much. Well, we appreciate that, and just to get in the car and knock the dust off and get the first run out of the way is going to be a big deal. I haven't driven a car in 4.5 months now, so that first run's always the run that you're thinking about things a little bit too much. Yeah. So I can't wait to make the first run and knock the dust off, and then just see what kind of damage we can cause. Right?
Quickly, what does that feel like? Because I know everybody talks about being rusty and they hadn't been in the car. What does that feel like after you've been out? I mean, you know what it's like, but you haven't felt it in a while.
You play basketball?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you play football?
A little bit.
All right. Did you play two sports in junior high or high school that weren't on the same season? Like
yes.
Maybe baseball? Okay.
I was a track runner and then played basketball.
All right. So during track season, you probably didn't play basketball, right?
Nope.
So you remember the first time the track season's over, you're like, okay, I got to start shooting the ball again. And those first couple shots, you feel like maybe that like your arms aren't quite right. It's just not. You're just not. It just doesn't feel right.
Right. It feels like noodle arm.
Yeah, it's like you just feel stupid almost. Like you feel goofy, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what it is. It's the same. It's the same thing. You just gotta. But once you have been out and shot the ball, maybe a couple hundred times or so,
right.
It's like. It's like you never took the time off. It's the same way with the race cars. The first one, boom, knock the dust off. By your fifth or sixth run, you're right back in the groove. At least for me, it's that way. The first 2 or 3 runs, I'm still trying to, okay, all right, that's what happened. This is what happened. Okay, I remember what that felt like. Anyone who says that, oh, it's no big deal. I get right back in it right after the off season. Well, they're not. They're not telling the truth. Everybody's first run, and if you've taken more than 3 months off, is a unique one. You're definitely knocking the rust off for sure.
Well, buddy, we are behind you 100% here at the Breakdown. I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys and wish you the best of luck.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate it. I'm thankful for all my sponsors and every single team member I have. My girlfriend Maddie, she supported me here in the off season and helped me acquire some of our sponsors. And I'm thankful for her. I'm so excited to get out there and do well for everybody. Everyone's done a great job all winter long. So I'm the only guy that can possibly screw this deal up. So I better not, right? I better do my job.
You won't. You'll get it done.
Right. That's right.
You'll get it done.
We'll make it happen.
Go ahead.
I said we'll make it happen. Whatever it takes.
No doubt.
Yep.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for listening to The Breakdown. Again, without you, we are nothing. So we thank you so much for taking the time and listening to us. And this weekend, if you're in the Phoenix area, get to the track. I mean, it's probably almost sold out, but you can try. And go by this guy's hauler.
That's right. And if you're hungry on the way there, stop at Chompy's and get some food.
I saw that on your Instagram.
Yeah, they're with us all weekend. So, yeah.
It looks good.
It looks like great food. We're super excited. So if you're listening, you're coming to Phoenix to hang out with us and watch NHRA drag racing. Don't be shy. Stop at Chompy's. Get a sandwich.
Yes, sir. Good food. Again, we thank you so much. And this has been another episode of The Breakdown.